day, ladies and gentlemen. It's Eric Coffin, HRA Advisories. It is Thursday, April 29th, 2021. I'm here with Tim Moody. Tim is the CEO of Pan Global Resources. It's a company I've followed for a couple of years now. It's been a great success, both at a market level. It's trading at, I don't know, 6 times where it was a year ago, more or less. It's also been an even bigger success on the exploration side. Pan Global is working in the Iberian Pyrite Belt in Spain. The Pyrite Belt is sort of ground zero when it comes to VMS type deposits, volcanogenic massive sulfides. This belt is kind of the most famous area in the world. Tim is right in the middle of it. He's situated between some currently producing mines, and he's been getting success after success with the drill. And one thing I've been asked a lot is why isn't it just going straight up with the copper price? And I think the reason is we're seeing warrant exercise that's been coming in for the last 3 or 4 months. Tim just told me at the end of March they were sitting on 3 million. That's pretty much where they were at the end of January. That's pretty much where they were a couple months earlier. What that's telling you is the warrant exercise is essentially paying for the ongoing drill program. Money's coming in at essentially the same rate they're spending it, which is a good thing. I think the other thing that's had the stock a little bit flat lately with a rising copper price is there have been kind of continuous rumors about an imminent financing. I know, because I talked to Tim about this, that there is no imminent financing. I'm pretty sure what's happening here is the groups that are offering money to Pan Global are telling people there's going to be imminent financing, whereas management is saying, no, there's not going to be imminent financing. I don't get the sense they're in any rush to do one. Drilling's been going very well. This is to my mind, this is a project that I personally think is going to be a mine. Even though it's very early days, they're probably up in the range of, they're probably got 15 million tons, give or take, drilled off. That's my back of the envelope, not Tim's. But Tim's going to walk through here, and the one thing you have to appreciate is what are the grades, thicknesses look like in relation to successful deposits in this belt, but also more importantly, perhaps you've got to kind of understand the scale of the targets here, and that they really just scratch the surface. There's so much room for this thing to grow, just where they're drilling now, and that's just the opening salvo. So can you give us a kind of an up to date where things are at now, Tim? I know drilling is continuing, so how are things going?
Yeah, look, Eric, as you say, we've been pretty happy with the results. The drilling's going very quickly. We've got 2 drill rigs operating now, full speed. If anything, that's the lab just can't keep up with the amount of samples that we're sending to them. So that's our biggest concern really at the moment, is getting assay results back in time so that we can sort of plan more drill holes basically. So, right. But yeah, look, we're up to hole number 55 now. We started this program when we finished hole 28. So we've been going pretty quickly. We recently expanded the drill program. It was initially 20 holes. That's increased to 30. We'd like to increase that, perhaps another 10 holes or so. But we'd like to see some more assay results before we do that. So yeah.
Are you keeping? I know as of the last news release, you had a 100% hit rate, 100% batting average, if you will, in terms of hitting copper in the holes. Is that 100% holding up for you still?
Yeah, we've continued to hit copper in every hole. Some better than others, so that's the way it goes. But the good thing is we're hitting copper in every hole, pretty much where we're predicting it, and it's still open in every direction. So waiting for lots of results. It's still got room for this thing to grow quite a bit, as we've only tested a third of the potential strike length at the moment. So yeah.
So can you give us a sense of? I thought what I'd like to do is kind of start with the drill area, but kind of maybe zoom out and kind of give people some sense of how much room you have to grow. I'm not sure even a lot of shareholders appreciate just how much room you have to. You have so much room to grow this thing. It's crazy.
All right, just let me just. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So this is a fairly noisy map now because we're getting more and more drill holes. So we have to change the format. But the background here is the gravity anomaly, which was the original target, and that's pretty important, as you'll see later. It shows all the drill holes. All the holes that we've completed are in red, and then the yellow holes are those that we've completed and waiting for results. The boxes in yellow, those are the results from the last news release. So we're basically now we're drilling in an area about a kilometre strike, about 400 metres north-south. As I say, we've got sort of about another half the gravity anomaly to the west to test, and it's still open perhaps another kilometre further to the east. So yeah, every hole's hitting copper. It's coincides very well with the gravity and these two big conductor anomalies, which are open as well. And which dips to the north, comes to near surface in this area. So yeah, open in every direction at this stage. So I think that's pretty encouraging, Eric.
And if we can kind of pull back a little bit and kind of show the larger target scale potential.
Yeah. All right, so perhaps before I do that, just to show this is our mineralized position, and here's where we've been drilling just down in here, we're waiting for this area here called Al-Andalus to be granted. But we're situated between two operating mines, a big open pit up here at the site of the original Rio Tinto mine being operated by Atalaya Mining today. They've got about 200 million tonnes of reserves, cut-off grade about 0.15. Reserve grades about 0.42, 0.45% copper. Very efficient operation. Then you've got the other extreme, Las Cruces over here, which is operated by First Quantum, 12 kilometres to the east of our property boundary. One of the highest grade open pit copper mines in the world, mining mainly chalcocite. They're looking to go underground, and they'll be into the sulfides there. And then right next door to us, Group of Mexico, have got the old Asnocoya and Los Frailes mines, which they're looking to restart. And they were mining grades of sort of up to 0.6% copper in the open pit here at Asnocoya. So yeah, we're between mines, surrounded by them, and we've got lots of targets waiting for this area, Al-Andalus, to get granted. I think just to sort of highlight that, this just shows a big geophysics anomaly, the IP anomaly, two conductors that coincide with that where we've been drilling. And I've put on here the outline footprint of the Los Frailes deposit, which is right near to us, a really big, massive sulfide deposit. Just really the idea of this picture, just to give you the idea that there's lots of room here for a big deposit.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm pretty sure what you've drilled has already exceeded substantially the average VMS deposit size. I mean, on average, they tend not to be that large, but one of the exceptions is of course the pyrite belt, because that's where most of the giants are, in the pyrite belt.
Yeah, well, look, I think the world average for VMS deposits is about 5 to 10 million tonnes.
Right.
In the pyrite belt, it's over 20 million tonnes, the average size. But there are more of these super giant VMS deposits in the pyrite belt than there is in any other equivalent district in the world. There's 8 or 9 of them with more than 100 million tonnes.
Right.
The old Rio Tinto mine itself was probably 800 or 1 billion tonnes. There's 2 or 3 others that are over 200 million tonnes. So these are really big deposits. So we're in the land of giants when it comes to that. So yeah, we're probably it's looking like we've got plenty of room here for something that's above the average size for a VMS deposit, well and truly.
And this is a nice zoom out, this slide. This is just keep in mind this, guys, this is just kind of the immediate La Romana area, if you will. And I think you can give people a pretty good sense of just of how much room you've got, because you've had not, it's not just that the gravity targets has worked out excellently, but the IP anomalies, chargeability anomalies, and the EM and the missile mass, like all of these things seem to do a really good job at targeting this stuff. And you got so much of this anomaly you haven't touched on yet.
Yeah, well, look, that's one of the great things about VMS deposit, volcanogenic massive sulfides. They're high sulfide concentrations, so they make terrific geophysics targets. So we've got coincident geophysics with whether it be gravity, IP, downhole EM. It all works, and it all coincides very well with the high copper grade, high copper mineralization that we've been intersecting. And that's what's pretty encouraging. We've drilled, this is about 2.5 kilometres of strike potential that we've identified using our own geophysics together with the gravity anomaly and some of the old Exxon IP. And we've only drilled about 1/3 of this potential strike length at this stage. And then, in addition to that, we've got some satellite targets in and around it that we haven't got to at all. They're completely undrilled. Strong IP anomaly off to the north here, which was on that previous image. You can just see it here. That looks pretty promising. So just while I've got this slide, Eric, that we are thinking of doing a couple of long lines of EM, to try and look deeper. All of our exploration to date has been, fortunately, it's been very shallow. You see it down to 200, 300 metres depth maximum. So the idea is just to look and see if there's some of these, how far this mineralisation might extend. So this will be pretty interesting when we do that. But yeah.
And what kind of depth potential is that? Will lines that long have?
See if we can follow the mineralisation, maybe 500 metres or so. It depends on the tool we use, but right. they've used it to see trace mineralisation at Neves Corvo to much deeper than that. So
okay,
yeah. So so just in and around La Romana itself, we've got plenty of room for this to grow. Then stepping out, this is perhaps a new slide for most people, and so there's the Al-Andalus area I mentioned before. Here's La Romana, where we've been drilling, and it was La Romana was a gravity anomaly, and the success of drilling gravity anomalies in the Pirate Belt is really good, but particularly in this area. Los Frailes, which I showed you before, was found by drilling a gravity anomaly, and Las Cruces, hole number 1, was testing a gravity anomaly, hit the ore body. And then, the first and only target we've tested was the La Romana gravity target, and that looks like it's another deposit as well. So Neves Corvo, one of the famous, most famous VMS deposits in the world, really large, high grade, was discovered by drilling a gravity anomaly. And they've continued to find additional mineralisation there today. That was first discovered in 1977. So I've just shown where we've got at least another 10 big targets in this project area that we haven't got to yet. So so far our hit rate's been pretty good. First target and first holes in that target were discovery holes. And we've got, as I say, 10 other big gravity targets or big targets we haven't tested. So this just compares the footprint of these targets with the Neves Corvo district to give people a sense of scale. Both these images are at the same scale. So
it's worth people remembering. I mean, if you don't know this type of deposit, VMS deposits, other deposit types, you get people arm waving and going, yeah, we've got these other targets. There might be another thing like it nearby. Yeah, sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not. VMS is a bit different because of the way they form. Having multiple zones, multiple deposits in a relatively constrained area, that's not, that's the norm with the VMS. That's how VMS camps generally look. They have multiple deposits. And I think, Tim and I talked about this slide, and I'm happy to see it up because I think people need to get their head around the idea that really when you put Escacena and Anomalies together, you know, I don't think Pan Global's looking at a deposit. I mean, yes, they have to drill it, prove it, blah, blah, blah. But personally, I don't really think it's going to be a deposit. It's not just that they have a deposit, that this project covers a potential camp. I mean, this is a lot of big gravity anomalies. And as Tim said, I mean, in this part of the world, drilling gravity anomalies works. And they've got 10 of them to drill.
Yeah, while I've got this slide as well, Eric, is, you know, we've obviously got two northern and the southern cluster of targets. But yeah, this southern target, the southern cluster there was this old drill hole that Exxon did in 1985. 9.5 meters at 1.42% copper. That's never been followed up. It was drilled in that. Yeah. So given that there's been two other discoveries that were made since that drill hole, one at Los Frailes and Las Cruces was discovered after that drill hole was completed. You know, with the fact that we've got a bunch of other gravity targets under shallow cover in this area, it really just adds to the prospectivity. And there's been no drilling, no other exploration between where that old Exxon hole is and where the Laramana, where we've been drilling at Laramana. So, you know, there's 4 kilometres there with a line of gravity targets in between. Another couple of kilometres in this direction, and you hit the Asnocoya and Los Frailes deposits.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really not trying to overarm with this, and Tim can't. He's got 43 101 restrictions. So, you know, you gotta kind of get your head around the scale potential here. You know, like I said, back of the envelope, I think they probably drilled about 15 million tons. That's less than a third of La Romana's target size. When you include the northern target, it's probably like a fifth. And there's 10 other targets. Like, I'm not going to do all the math for you, but it's not hard to do. And if you look at this map Tim just drew up, that shows the scale of Asnocoya, Los Frailes. You know, you look at those gravity anomalies, you look at the gravity anomalies on the PGZ ground. You know, it's not that hard to do the math. And I think with this gravity too, I think it's easy to get really hung up on Romana's the reddish, the pinkish, but a lot of these things, it's not so much how high it is as it is the contrast, right, Tim?
Contrast, that's right. You sort of count the contours up, basically. Right. So, yeah, but, you know, you get these obviously stand out. This is a big anomaly, by the way, but it's deeper probably. And right. We've got a target here. This is the old Exxon gravity data. We've actually done more detailed gravity over some of these targets up in here, down here. We haven't done any more work on these yet because we're waiting for it to be granted. But knowing that Los Frailes was discovered by drilling this gravity anomaly, we've just been drilling this, right. And that's where Laramana is. These look pretty compelling, particularly when we know there's copper out there at La Jarosa as well. So I think we've got a good chance of making more discoveries. I think the pedigree of this area is excellent.
And you're probably a couple of months out from getting El Angeles granted, because I mean my understanding situation is there's no real hiccups. You're still kind of dealing with COVID at the government office level. And it's just taking them a long time to turn things around. And there's a whole bunch of reports and stuff that have to be generated by the government as part of the grant process. And you just got to wait for them to get those done, I guess, right?
Yeah, no, there's been a bit of pandemic paralysis, if you like, in the government offices. It's just things are taking longer. You know, they don't have people aren't in the office as much as they used to be, working 2 days a week and this sort of thing. So it's just, and they've told us they just don't have the people to complete all the paperwork. But anyway, we're working through it. We've got senior people in both the relevant ministries that look after these things. They've got their eyes on this. We're in contact every week. So we're doing everything we can, and I'm sure, I'm still fairly confident we'll be on the ground here in the next quarter.
Okay. And you're up on hole 55. I know you mentioned to me that the labs have slowed down just because there are a lot of people working. So you might want to let those catch up. But can you guys give us a sense of like where do say for the next, I don't know, 2, 3 months, assuming no more lab healthcare, where do you want to go, and what's unfolding now in terms of not just drilling but geophysics? Because you mentioned you're probably going to do 2 or 3 types of geophysics.
Yeah. So the immediate objective with the drilling we're doing at the moment is to continue to push the boundaries, pushing it out both along strike, east and west, testing down the front, the edges down dip as well. The geophysics is telling us we've got a long way to go there. And then also extending some of that near surface mineralization that we're hitting in the last, we're reporting in the last couple of rounds of results. We've had some much thicker zones of mineralization starting from surface, from 1/2 meter below surface. So that's really opening. It's one that's adding tons, but it may be pushing the potential pit dimensions laterally, but also depth-wise as well. So I think we have some pretty exciting drilling ahead of us as we sort of extend the near surface mineralization to the east and to the west, but also on every other frontier at the deposit, really. So that's the immediate objective. I think I mentioned the 2 lines of EM that we think we'd like to do to see how far it might go down dip. I think that's going to be pretty useful for us as well. So that's the immediate objectives at La Romana.
Okay. I think that covers it. Again, it's a great story. I mean, I love this stock. I've been on it for a couple of years now. I mean, some of the stuff that I think is worth looking at. I mean, this is another new slide where this is like really, really early days in terms of playing around with leapfrog modeling. But I think maybe this gives people a better sense of what does it look like, and you can kind of see the dimensions without all the busy drill boxes and stuff all over the place. Can you just give us a run through of what we're looking at here with this?
Yeah. So so we've got, this is just modeling for those results, those drill holes that we've reported. So up to hole 37. So it's really, we're now starting to get a sufficient density to develop shapes, to the mineralization. So it's really just to start to give us a good feel for how's the thickness and so on. And eventually, once we've got more drill holes, then we'll be able to start to really model it, start to perhaps look at what might be economic, what pit dimensions, those sorts of things. But start preparing ourselves for potential resource. But so, this, again, very simple modeling, very early days. So this is just using sort of the transparent outer shell here is everything above 0.1%, then higher grade within that. So that's 0.1% cut off, copper cut off. There's about 970 meters of strike, over 400 meters depth thereabouts. But it's very consistent from the drilling we're seeing. As I say, it's been predictive. This is just looking at it from another angle. You can see high grade in the middle of it. And then this is just stripping away some of that lower grade outer shell and combining copper, which is in blue, above 0.3% copper, and then tin, which is this sort of orangey color as well, which, so people have been asking, well, where's the tin in this deposit? So it seems to be more in that western half of the deposit here. Again, coinciding. Over here, it seems to be mainly copper, with a bit of tin, bit of silver, a bit of gold, etc. But again, the gaps here are more because there's no drilling. And these, I just want to say, these aren't the limits. It's still completely open. That's just as far as the model can search at this stage. So a couple of cross sections through it here. This is again that orange color being the tin, the blue being copper. But you can see very good fit with the copper and the tin in those cross sections. But, and then again, this is another section looking towards the east, and with the downhole EM conductor anomalies and again shows this excellent fit with the copper tin mineralization. Yeah, it's very, very reliable. It's been very, very effective. So,
yeah, and it's worth noting again, I mean, because you see these EM plates show up on the conductor plates on a lot of the slides. The current extent of those plates is really dependent on the limits of the equipment, not the limits of the mineralization at this stage. All of those EM plates are still open, and I fully expect as you do downhole on new holes, those plates are probably going to get larger. None of this stuff is really cut off in any direction
yet. Yeah. So this is bit of work in progress, Eric, and
okay.
yeah, but this is starting to get pretty sizable by the looks of it, and hanging together quite well.
Yeah, I think that's enough for today. I mean, just the important thing that people need to kind of, in my opinion, you got to keep your eyes on the price here. Like, whatever the tonnage is as of today, and my subscribers know I'm not a believer in doing resource estimates too early. I think a lot of companies actually do them earlier than they should. Tim has got, he's not going to wait that long, but he's got years of targets here. It's really not an exaggeration to say that. I think La Romana is going to be 3, 4, 5 times bigger than it is right now. And there's 10 other similar targets. There's other targets around La Romana. There's a lot of room for this thing to get quite large. I think this whole system, the whole camp essentially, and I effectively, Tim is covering a camp, a family of potential VMS zones. I think it's going to get quite large. They're drilling with 2 rigs right now, 15 holes to report. They're still drilling. There is no immediate financing plan. Warrant exercise has been more than adequate to cover costs as they go. Like I said, they've got the same amount of money now as they had 3 or 4 months ago, and that's warrant exercise. I think there's another $7 million worth of warrants. Everything's in the money. So, I think we'll continue to see supportive shareholders exercising warrants and making sure this thing's funded. And with the copper price going up, I just think it's only a matter of time before this thing catches up and we see the next up like in the price. So if you want a successful copper exploration story in a good jurisdiction, mines all around it, not a good area for permitting. I mean, I think Pan Global is probably the #1 choice right now. PGZ on the venture, PGNRF, OTC in the US. This is a great story, folks. I mean, I've banged the table about it. I'll probably continue to bang the table about it. I just think this is a great story, and I think this one's going to be a mine. Thanks for coming by again, Tim, and updating us. And we'll probably talk again once you get another set of results out, and we'll definitely go through things in more detail once the bureaucrats give you the Anomalies permit, which, like I said, that's a whole different set of targets.
Yeah, no, I think it's a real game changer when that gets granted. We can start to get off the ground with that. We're really energized to can't wait, really. All right, no, thanks very much, Eric.
Okay, thanks, ladies and gents. I'll see you again soon.